as mentioned, thanks for taking the time out to join me today for this session. 10 ways to boost website and app UX. My name is Luke Price, and I work for the company Mopinion. Basically, I consult and advise our clients on sort of best practices, really, when it comes to implementing their kind of UX programs related to feedback. So, kind of related to a little bit some of the best practices that I'm going to share with you guys today as well. Just before we get into it, very quickly, a bit of background on Mopinion. Mopinion is a company based out of Rotterdam in the Netherlands, and we're a solution that enables you to collect and analyze feedback from all your digital channels. Really, so you can get a better understanding of why it is your customers or your visitors do the things they do. Obviously, you have a lot of tools, a lot of analysis tools that might tell you what it is your visitors or users are up to, but sometimes that missing part of the puzzle is really understanding why it is they do the things they do. Once you have that information, that really helps you unlock a better user experience and boost conversion rates by understanding that the why. So that's kind of very quickly who we are and why we're around. So yeah, what can you expect from today's episode? What are we going to discuss? Well, the first thing will be the power of using UX forms for both websites and a mobile app. I'm also going to give you some insider tips on how to set up your feedback program for UX success as well. What I'm also going to do is, it's going to be like a unique showcase of powerful UX feedback forms and some leading brands that we also work with globally. So you'll see some of those as we go through, and then we'll wrap up with a Q&A for basically any of your feedback questions that you might have. So first of all, before we get into the 10 different methodologies, it's obviously good to think about why you should use feedback to actually improve your user experience. There are many different reasons, but some of the main ones, I think, specifically related to what we'll cover today, is it's a great way to easily uncover bugs and errors in the blink of an eye without you having to sort of dig for them. They are surfaced to you, essentially automatically. It's also a great way to make improvements to the digital content and the website design as well. You can create a strong hypothesis for A/B testing initiatives, based on feedback. You can decide whether it's version A or version B is the one that's going to be proceeded with. Also a great way to keep in touch with how your channels are just performing in general, and a great way to track that as well. And it helps prioritize your product roadmap. It's good to always get an understanding from the customer or the visitor side what the priorities should really be. So again, before I get into each method, I just wanted to give some kind of general tips really on success when kind of implementing a user experience feedback program. The main thing to always bear in mind with whatever kind of feedback form or whatever method you choose is always think about, okay, what questions are you going to ask? When are you going to ask them? How are you going to ask them? And where are you going to ask them? What step in the funnel or what step in the journey? Essentially, you need to make your feedback forms as relevant as possible to the moments that the visitor or the customer is in. So, if they're at a point of exiting while about to purchase or convert, it doesn't make sense to pop up an NPS form asking them to rate their experience. You need to make it more relevant. By doing this, that will not only boost your response rates, but it'll also make the feedback quality better, and in turn, create a smoother customer journey, really. So getting into the 10 different ways. Oh, 1 second. Sorry, I was having some issues there with my slides moving. I want to break down the 10 ways into sort of 3 different subsections, as it were. So First will be the basics. So just, if you're perhaps starting off with a UX improvement feedback program, what are some of the basic things you can do? And then I want to move on into giving you some sort of, optimizing content and features. So some more kind of almost advanced methods, I guess you could say. And then I'll close off with some tips on some of the must-haves. So what are the things you should always be doing in every single form that you put online or in your app or anything like that. So let me start with some of the basics. So this is method number one, and this is a good example from a brand in the UK called Euro Car Parts. They're basically one of the largest automotive parts brands over there, part of the LKQ group, which is large globally. And this is just a great example of demonstrating how to gather general feedback. So this is just simply the case of putting up a feedback tab or feedback widget on your domain. It's on every single page, and a user can always go to this at any time during their journey, so they can leave feedback. And these are really good to do because, it's an opportunity to provide feedback as they're never out of reach. It's always easy to find. It's not invasive. It's not a form that's popping up in the middle of the journey. And it's also a great way of tracking customer satisfaction and catching bugs as well, because what you'll see is people, they have to go to this form, right? It doesn't just pop up. So people are going to do that when they want to report bugs. And what you'll also find is the quality of the feedback will be good as well, because people have to specifically go to this form to get it to pop up. Here's another example from a customer of ours called Homebase as well. They're one of the largest DIY chains in the UK, and they're basically asking, how satisfied are you with your experience? Again, what was your reason for visiting our site? By giving them this kind of category option, it helps them categorize the feedback on the back end when it comes to managing it. And they're also collecting goal completion rate as well. That's a really good question to ask. Were you able to complete your task? Were you able to find what you were looking for? Yes, no. These kind of insights can be really useful for them when trying to make improvements. Method number two is about making feedback feel like a conversation. So it's kind of a twist on the same method that you saw as number one. It's the same idea in the sense that you have like a passive button that a user can click at any time and it pops up a feedback form. Except this time, rather than having a static form, it looks more like a chat. It seems more interactive. So Atos is basically the largest sort of pharmacy and home goods group in the Benelux. And what they will do is make it look more like a chat. So it makes it more interactive. And because of this, it becomes then a lot more engaging. So you might get better responses than you would with a static form. So it allows you to build trust and rapport with the users. Allows you to steer your customers in the right direction as well. So, if they have feedback about an order, it points them to customer service. Again, it's quite casual, it's quite non-invasive. So it's just a really good way to get more engagement and boost the amount of feedback responses that you can receive as well, just by making it a bit more informal. Another really good example of that is from Vodafone as well. They also had a form where they're just asking, we want to understand how we can improve our experience. Can we ask you 3 short questions? They answer yes. Okay, great. And then the rest of this essentially survey, but dressed up in a chat, makes it a bit more interactive. It means that it's going to improve better. And in this case, they experienced nearly 60% more engagement than with a standard passive form, just by using this conversational form. So really good method to use for like a standard passive feedback button on your website. Method number 3 is using feedback to improve the mobile user experience. So this is something DHL have done for a long time, and it's important to do because what you're doing is you're separating your web and your app feedback. So general feedback collected specifically on apps will help you better understand the app users. You often know, of course, that the user experience can be different on app, or certain journeys or flows that you want to perhaps recreate in app don't quite work the same as what they might do on web. So it's a great way of pinpointing missing features, tracking the app performance, bugs again. It's always, if you have an app, always good. We always recommend that you give the users an opportunity to collect general app feedback. And again, with this DHL form, it's just very simply a case of, well, choose your subject. What tip is it you want to give us? What rating do you give the app? And again, a recommended service as well to family or friends in terms of kind of NPS, I guess. So the next sort of bunch of tips are a bit more, I guess, advanced or a bit more specific to certain parts of the user journey or the flow. Those first ones, of course, were more about kind of general feedback. First one I'll show you is again from the brand Atos, is using feedback to boost on-page content. So in this example here, there's actually a video that's inserted on this information page. And in this case, it's about an explanation on skincare ingredients. But how do you know if this information is, this content is relevant or not? It's very difficult to tell from analytics. So sometimes it can literally just be as simple as embedding a thumbs up, thumbs down in your feedback form in your web page. If they answer no, that can trigger another question that says, well, okay, why not then? Why isn't it useful? And it can be as simple as that, just by using these kind of forms, these embedded, was it useful, yes or no, on content heavy pages like FAQs or what have you. It can tell you if content needs updating. It can tell you if the messaging is really resonating with your audience. So always good to do in content pages. Another great example for that is in banking as well. So in this case, TSB Bank in the UK, has got a page in their site about, forgotten your internet banking login details. Well, you can find them all here. Do this, do that. But again, is that really resolving the problem that the user is having? They think it is, but they don't know. So, was this answer helpful? Yes or no is a really good way of understanding if they're hitting the mark or not. And again, while we're talking about banking, if they've got content heavy pages related to mortgage products or insurance products, there's obviously a lot of information on those kind of pages. Just embed a feedback form, information useful, yes or no. If not, why not? And that will be just a really simple way for them to improve the user experience on those particular pages in those particular parts of the journey. So method number 5 is an example from Boca Direct in Sweden. And what they do really well is leverage feedback forms for targeting messages. So rather than essentially just using it as a feedback form, there's a particular action that happens during, let's say, a web visit on your mobile, which triggers then a form to pop up that says, hey, did you know that you can actually do what you're looking for way more effectively in the app, as you can see with this kind of sliding that they have in here. So by kind of prompting them to go the right way, in this case, Boca Direct increased their app downloads by 65%, just by simply trying to push or funnel the customers into the right journey. So it's a good way to avoid creating multiple pop-up forms that disrupt your users. And it's just a great way to share important information and updates with the users as well. Method number 6 is leveraging feedback for product improvement. So this could be a great way to help guide your digital product roadmap and maybe kind of gauge demand with techniques such as fake door testing. So for instance, the user goes to a certain feature within your app. As Togo do here, it then pops up and says, well, great that you're interested in this feature, but it actually is still in the planning stages. How important is this feature to you? How much would you like to see it? And by gathering those insights, they can then decide how to prioritize it on their roadmap and whether they should do it or not. So that's a great way, again, to just re-gauge what the feel is from the customers or from the visitors. Method number 7 is a very, very important one, actually. That is capturing users before they drop off. So yeah, leveraging exit feedback basically to understand why it is people are leaving, or did they achieve their goals. So Allianz, obviously a large financial institution, and when you go to leave their site, this form slides up that essentially says, we want to ask you a short question. Did you actually find what you were looking for on this page? Yes or no? Again, it's a very timely intervention, coming back to thinking about what you ask, where you ask, and how you ask it. This makes sense. They've finished looking what they're looking for. Well, how do you know if they achieved their goal? Simply ask them. It's not too invasive at all. And there are lots of different forms that you can use. There was a good anecdote from Allianz in which they actually their conversion increased from practically 0.5% to 3.5%, which doesn't sound a lot, but for them it actually translated to over 900,000 euros in additional premium turnover just from these kind of forms. So it can be any example. Someone's got an item in their basket, they go to leave. You can use that leaving behavior as a trigger to say, hey, just before you go, can we ask why it is you're leaving? Perhaps you don't offer the payment method that they want, or maybe the shoes aren't the color that they want, for example. Small things like that can have a huge impact on your conversion rates. So exit forms is always a good one. So the last 3 best practices I want to share are must-haves. So these are the things that we kind of always recommend you would incorporate into every feedback form that you would implement. Point number 8 is pinpointing UX issues with visual feedback. So Transavia is one of the largest budget airlines in Europe. And what they do is offer the ability to leave a screenshot with your feedback, as you can see here. And that's a really effective way of eliminating hurdles that prevent users from converting. And also what it's doing, I mean, you might have seen feedback before where people are complaining about a bug, but if you can't sort of see what it is they're talking about, it's very hard to understand what specifically the bug might be. Sometimes you don't have any context. And by giving the user the ability to leave a screenshot, then you have way more context with their feedback, and you can perhaps understand what the bug is much more swiftly. So yeah, again, just with general feedback, it's always good to ask, leave a screenshot with your feedback, because that's going to help you get to the bottom of what they're actually experiencing. A lot quicker. The other important thing to do, and you'll have probably noticed this through all of the various kind of forms and examples we've shown in the session so far, is it's always really important to blend the survey with your own brand's aesthetic. So by making it look sort of more in line with your brand's look and feel, you're going to get higher engagement because it's increased levels of trust. It's not this sort of strange, tacky third-party form that's suddenly popping up on your site. So it just looks a lot more professional when it's fully branded properly, the colors, the fonts, everything else. And of course, it enhances the brand recognition and the perception as well. So yeah, it's always important to make sure that when you design a survey or a feedback form that you really get it looking in line with your own brand's look and feel. And there's another example as well from this is one of the largest kind of homeware stores in the Benelux. Again, you can see their logo is in it. Their font is the same as the website as well. The sizes, everything in there is matching too. And then the last point, which kind of ties into something I've touched upon a couple of times throughout the session, is always trigger your surveys at the right moment. So bold.com is basically the largest e-commerce or web shop in the Benelux. And one of the things they do really well is when you have placed an order, they slide in a form at the end of that journey, which essentially says, "Hey, we'd love to know your thoughts. How easy or difficult was it for you to, complete your order?" And again, sounds kind of simple when you talk about it like this, but if you great that you might be getting all these orders, but if you don't know how difficult it was, how do you know if they're going to come back? Maybe there are ways that you can make the process easier, and you can understand those ways by collecting this kind of feedback. Again, that's going to help with user experience. That's going to help with conversion. So yeah, this example is really about asking that right question in the right way at the right time. That's always important to do. Here's another example from the Dutch Chamber of Commerce as well. Again, at the end of the process, how easy was it for you to basically order, completely disagree or agree, and then ask more questions from there. So yeah, depending on what's happening or what point they are in the journey, you should always think about making the triggering of the survey and the questions of the survey as relevant to the moment that visitor or customer is in. Doing it that way, you will get better responses, and you'll get more responses as well. So yeah, that feels like we've going to flow through the 10 different methods. So what are the key takeaways? Well, I think as you can see, there are many different ways that you can enhance your user experience, regardless of the industry you're in. There are this was only 10 examples, but there are a lot more different things you can do. It's a great way to monitor user experience performance as well, so that you can create and maintain a smooth and frictionless journey. And I think it also shows as well that this feedback, this really understanding why it is that the visitors or the customers do the things they do, that's really the invaluable trick for gathering meaningful insights, so that you can boost conversion rates and improve UX as well. I mean, it's as it says here, the quickest way of unlocking these insights is simply by talking to your users, just asking them. You can find out things so much more effectively and efficiently than kind of having to comb through all these different analytics tools. So we've almost reached the end. I think we've got about 5 minutes left as well. I just wanted to see if there are a few questions. So I'm going to have a quick look now in the Q&A, and then I'm going to answer them for you straight away. So I can see a few things. First question: is it possible to do A/B testing with the feedback forms? Yes, it is. Is the short answer. So it's kind of two ways you can do that. You can obviously put a feedback form up, and then essentially in the data layer of the responses, you can see, well, were they looking at version A or were they looking at version B of our domain when they left this, and then you can compare the average rating from each form versus A or B to see which one did better. Or you can A/B test two different types of form as well, with two different types of questions, and again in the analysis on the back end, have a look at which form performed better. So hopefully that helps. Are the forms easy to customize? Yes, they are. They have to be, because it's an important must-have. So you don't need to be like super tech savvy to create really kind of slick looking designs. It's easy to do, and there's a lot that you can change. As I mentioned, the fonts, the colors, and everything else as well. Oh yeah, this is a really good question. How do you manage and make sense of the feedback? So today we've only really touched upon kind of one side of the coin. It was all about the collection of feedback, but obviously that's only half of the job. If you've got a feedback inbox with hundreds of feedback items, thousands of feedback items in there, how do you make sense of this all? Obviously you need a way that you need a tool, and that's things like text analytics, there's direct insights, there's dashboards to really make sense of it all. So in the Mopinion solution, you can build all these different dashboards and customize them completely so that you can gather insights, really effectively. So it's things like, okay, show me everybody that said, no, I can't find what I'm looking for, and group it by URL because I want to see where the bottlenecks are in our funnel. Where are we getting the most no's, stuff like that. Or using text analytics engines because you're getting a lot of qualitative information coming through. You need a way to kind of digest that to see, okay, what's the sentiment? What are the positive word groups, the negative word groups, all that kind of stuff. So we could do like a whole nother session on managing feedback. Closing the loop is related to it as well. Sending it into your other tools like Teams, like Jira, like Slack. I could talk about it for ages. There's a lot you can do. It's probably something for another session, but indeed, really important. Few more questions as well. Can you target a specific page for feedback? Also, how easy is it to turn on or off a form? So yeah, you can. In terms of deploying forms, you just specify which URL you want it to be on or not. We have a very effective deployment manager as well, where literally with the click of a button, you can just turn off a form and you don't have to take the code off your site and then put the code back on or anything like that if you want to change it. And there's also a way that you can test your deployments as well to see if they're actually triggering as they should be or not. Is there a way to send a report or digest of collected feedback? Yes, there is. That's all related again to kind of actioning and managing the feedback. So having a summary of it all. How long is feedback stored is kind of the second question to that. We're a European headquartered company, so we have to do everything in accordance, of course, with the GDPR. That basically means that the feedback is stored for as long as we have contracts with our clients, unless they stipulate otherwise that they need it to be deleted at shorter intervals, then we adhere to that as well, which is fine. I think that was most of the questions. The time seemed to kind of fly by, and as I say, there's a lot more I could talk about. I think leading on from here is more to do with the managing and the actioning of the data. If you want to learn more about how to improve your experience, by all means, you can get in touch with me. My email address is luke.p@mopinion.com. Luke@mopinion.com also works fine as well. If you want to, you can also just check out our solution as well by just taking a trial of the tool, or you can request a demo as well. And then, it could be myself or one of my colleagues can also take you through it in a bit more depth to talk about your specific needs and also show you a little bit more about the other side of the solution as well, kind of managing and actioning on the insights and the data that you collect. So that was all for today. So thanks again for your time, and really hope it was a useful session. As I say, if you need anything, I'll leave the details up on here. But have a great day or have a great evening, depending where you are in the world. And I hope to hear from you guys. So take care.